Do you know why people don't leave? Not because they fear the unknown, but because they believe that what they're holding on to is their only chance. This story is about all of us who fear change more than we fear poverty. There once lived a family by the sea, a carpenter, his wife, and their 2 children. Their poverty was so deep that even the walls of their home seemed gray, not from smoke, but from sorrow. Everything they owned fit into one thing, an old, patched-up boat. They half-jokingly called it a coffin on water. Every morning, the father would sail out, cast his torn net, and catch just enough to make sure the day wouldn't be their last. It wasn't a life, it was a test. And every day brought a new one. One evening, as the sun was beginning to set, a raven landed near their home. It arrived quietly, almost unnoticed, as if it had always been there. It sat on the crooked roof and watched them for a long time without making a sound. There was something strange in its gaze, something heavy, as if it could see not only who they were, but everything that was about to happen to them. They looked at each other, confused, not understanding where it had come from. Then, when everything fell completely silent, the raven spoke. It said only 2 words: "Burn the boat." With that, it spread its wings and disappeared into the thickening dusk, not waiting for an answer. The family was shocked. They argued, they laughed, they got angry. Burn the only thing keeping them afloat? That wasn't even madness. That was stupidity. But days passed, and the boat seemed to feel their doubt. The boards began to split. Water filled it faster than they could scoop it out. The net tore in 3 places. The catch grew smaller, until one day there was nothing at all. They repaired it, they patched it, they prayed over it, but it no longer kept them afloat. And when there was no hope left and no choice, they did the one thing they were afraid to even think about. They dragged the boat onto the shore, covered it with dry branches, and set it on fire. Not out of courage, but out of desperation. That same day, they gathered what little they had. The husband, the wife, and their 2 children stood by the shore where their only support had just turned to ashes. Behind them, a small bundle with essentials. Ahead, a road they knew nothing about. And so they walked along the shore. The journey wasn't easy. There were days when they thought they had made a mistake, nights when there wasn't enough food. But there was nothing left to return to. After a long and difficult path, they reached a small coastal town. The carpenter saw dozens of boats tied together, many of them in need of repair. He approached the local fishermen and asked if they needed help. They did. They welcomed the family, gave them a place to stay, and helped them get started. Soon, the carpenter's skill became known. More and more people came to him. More and more work followed. Their life changed completely. In time, the carpenter owned several boats of his own. They built a small house with the money he earned. The family began living a life they once couldn't even imagine. They no longer counted every piece of bread. They no longer feared each morning. The children stopped waking up anxious. The wife no longer stared at the empty sea, waiting for a miracle. And for the first time in many years, the man felt something new. He wasn't just surviving anymore. He was living, providing for his family with dignity, doing what he loved, and being rewarded for it. They learned to live without fear. They learned to search, to try, to change. They realized they were capable of far more than they had believed while clinging to the old. And then they remembered the raven. the one who gave them that strange, impossible advice. It wasn't madness. It was a sign. Years later, they understood. As long as they had that old boat, they never had a chance to leave that shore. It wasn't saving them. It was keeping them trapped in a place where they were slowly drowning, without even noticing it. They lost what they thought was their support, and with it, they lost the fear of losing. And only then did their real life begin. In everyone's life, there comes a moment when there is no other choice but to let go. We hold on to the familiar, the small, the old, because it feels safe. But most of the time, it's exactly what keeps us from moving forward. And the truth is, we rarely choose change ourselves. More often, life breaks things first, and only then forces us to move. Sometimes, what you think is saving you is the very thing holding you in place. And only after losing it do you begin to move. The only question is, will you wait for life to burn your boat for you, or will you find the courage to do it yourself?